You have good colour for an Englishman.
Thank you very much.
How did you get that colour?
I was in Lisbon doing a film just before I came out, so I was literally just filming on a beach for days.
Really?
Yeah.
Just doing a film.
Just
doing a film.
Lisbon, just on a beach as you do.
Just doing a movie,
Of
no
course.
big deal.
Yeah, right.
So that's why I have this color, and there's nothing I could do about it. Like they just had me on the beach the whole time, and like I was wearing a dressing gown and a beanie for like the last few days because I just didn't want to get any more color on me because I was a completely different shade by the end of the thing. But we were like technically we were filming stuff like that was the day before, but I'd come on looking like I'd just been doing like 10 episodes of Baywatch, and it was just not okay.
You should do 10 episodes of Baywatch.
Yeah, I would watch that. I would watch
Yeah.
that reboot. English Baywatch.
Yeah, it'd be great on Pebble Beaches.
Totally. Exactly right. They fall over and they're all wake up, they're grazed and shit to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Do you
Just
know
like
that I got pneumonia from a beach in the northeast?
Did you?
It's because you're not meant to go to the beaches in your country.
It's a Lucy
I also
story. Oh my
went
God.
in the sea.
So at the university I went to, which was Durham University, there was a little lake in one of the colleges that the rumor was that like, you couldn't go in there because you get tetanus if you go in there, and it was just like the rumors.
No, you get tetanus if you got a clue.
Yeah, oh my God, the second worst club in Europe. What
Yep.
it had the title of,
still
and then they were like, "Oh yeah, it's still going." And then everyone was like, "It's actually the worst club because the other worst one actually burnt down." Just kind of going, but no one knew the rest of the story. Everyone just knew that it burned down. Like, did people die in this? Like this horrible fire? But yeah, it was famous for being bad, and you could get something called the Quaddy Voddy, which was, and I think you can still get it, right? Which was 4 shots of vodka,
Yep.
but it was 2 shots of vodka and orange juice, 2 shots of vodka and cranberry, and then you pour them into one thing. And it was like £5 or maybe £4.
That should be
Basement in
illegal.
Newcastle, 3 trebles for a £5.
Oh my God.
And,
There's no
and then
way
you would go.
in Australia that you wouldn't be able to do that.
Well, no, it's fucking illegal.
It's illegal. It's,
So the thing is that you could get 3 treble shots for £5, but they were not allowed to put them in the same glass. So you were you know walking around like a lemon with 3 bloody cups of just paint stripper of vodka, and then we would go to Digital. Do you ever go to Digital?
yeah, I did, yeah.
80p Mondays. Born in the 80s.
I mean-
Everything was 80p until Monday.
You sound so much more British right now.
know.
By
I
the
know,
way.
I feel like I'm
as you were speaking to another British person.
Guys, she's back.
This is my
She's
time.
back.
No more British people on the podcast,
Yeah.
right? That's the
Alright,
rule.
fine.
We
Alright.
have
That was
to
back
limit
in the
now.
day when your dance card was full, though. But now,
Oh my
How
God.
much of this cold open can we use?
Yeah.
now? That's the question. That is the question.
I say all of it.
I say all
yeah,
of it.
let's
All
just
of it.
use it because no one's going to get the reference. It was a personal moment.
Boy.
It'll be friends per second lore, just inserted
yeah.
into the vault.
Why do we not have I mean, I work there. Why do we not have a fandom wiki yet? Honestly.
I'm sure someone will make
definitely
it.
make
I'll have a word.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
In case no one knows who you are,
Yeah.
how did you get here right now between us, like in this room?
Ralph let him in.
I got hit because I just kept banging on the door until he let me in, and I kept shouting, "I love you guys."
Yeah.
So I play Clive Rossfield in Final Fantasy XVI. That's basically why I'm here. I have been a huge gamer my entire life, but I'm also an actor, and I 4 years ago stumbled onto this job. Which just happens to be the lead character in my favorite ever video game franchise.
So wow.
And it doesn't really make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me now. And then it got announced at the Game Awards that I was able to kind of talk about it after that point. And I immediately kind of reached out to you guys, being like, I'm such a huge fan of I love Friends per Second. I love you. I've been following your work. Oh my God. Like I've watched like all your guys' reactions to everything. It's just, it's mad. And I'm deep in the Friends per Second lore. So yeah, it's very, very cool.
It's very, very touching. That's very kind of you.
I just think you're awesome. And I remember when the first episode, you guys
Keep it
announced
coming.
the
Yeah,
first-
yeah.
It was the Jerk Each Other Off podcast. Episode 23.
Yeah.
Rub it off, people.
Yeah,
That's
right.
right.
We make
Hands
it in
to
a
go
vacuum.
around.
That's our official gesture.
Yeah.
Hands to go around.
Hey. But yeah, I remember when you guys first announced it, and I was just so excited because I've watched all your work individually and then coming together. I just was like, oh man, this is so cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's very
Really
welcome.
appreciate
And I think I completely freaked out on that one episode where you kind of mentioned that I was a fan of the show.
Yeah,
Oh, you
yeah.
clipped it, didn't you? You
Yeah, I
posted
clipped
Yeah,
it. I
that's
took
right.
it down. I showed it to all my friends, and they didn't care. Like they were
That's
like
so
they were going,
adorable.
I just don't get the reference, Ben. But yeah, for me, it's just such a massive thing, and it's such an honor to be here talking to you.
This is the first Final Fantasy where it's like very much focused on Clive.
Yeah.
Like you're not rolling deep with a massive party of colorful characters.
True.
Like a lot of it is on you.
Yeah.
So that has to have been pretty intensive. Was it like 4 years of constant work, or was it like waiting games in between? Like how does that process go?
So what it would be really intense periods. So often it would be for like over multiple months. I would be in every single day doing stuff because I'd be in probably about 4 to 6 hours a day. There was a period when I was in 8 hours a day, but that's really bad for your voice and you shouldn't really do it. But necessity dictated that I had to be in there just because we needed to get stuff done and moving, because we were priority. So when you record and they went, this is the first one in English, right? They needed to get my track down and all my stuff down so then they could send it out to everyone else who would then dub what we had done.
Localized,
so
including the Japanese, I learned.
Yeah.
The Japanese came after the English.
That's
So you were the baseline.
Yeah,
and
you're the
they-
guide.
Whoa,
Wow.
that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Because I spoke to Koji Fox about this, and it turns out that they actually rewrote sections of the Japanese script based on your lines.
Yeah,
You
based
know
on
what
what we did. And often like Koji said this, like in the sessions, like we would change stuff based, and they would rewrite stuff based on what I was giving them in the booth. So like Clive shifted with us. We didn't like, he started off as one thing, and then we kind of developed in together, and it was this mad moment where I met Yoshi P, and he was just like, "You are Clive," and I was like, "Oh my god!" It's crazy, but the pressure of that meant that like I felt like if I wasn't able to make a session, I was letting people down, because there's me, and then there's all the other amazing Clives who are going to do it in all the other languages. Who, if I'm not doing it, they don't have anything to go off. So I was like pretty dedicated to it, and sometimes against the betterment of my health, I'd just go and do it because I knew that they needed to get this stuff done. But yeah, I'd sometimes like have a month off, 2 months off, and then I'd go and back in for 3 months, and my agent would just be like, "Yep, it's up again," and off we go, and my life would just be that. And it was quite nice because an actor, you don't get 9 to 5s, but for me, I lived at where we recorded it. Like the place where we did all the recording. They've done a lot of big, high-profile video games. It's kind of like the place where they do Cyberpunk and Assassin's Creed and everything. And I was working out with a casting director that I think I am, by quite some margin, the actor who's worked on one single role the longest.
Really?
And had the most amount of hours.
Wow.
Because we weren't doing, it wasn't like the most lines, it was just how long it took us to do those lines, because they wanted to get it right. And so we weren't just pumping out like 40 lines an hour. We were doing half that. We were doing less than that, because if it wasn't right, we weren't taking it.
Wow. Was that because that process was being led by Koji Fox, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Does he
So
live
he's
in
like
Japan?
quite a demanding taskmaster in those moments.
Well, so what we had is Koji, who would be right there at the beginning, and he would basically dictate the style of what it was. And so I'd have him over Zoom, but I also had this amazing team, amazing performance directors. So I want to shout out to Morgan Rushton, I want to shout out to Ollie Chance, and I really want to shout out to Hannah Price. Hannah Price, who was also a performance director on Alan Wake 2.
That game is shaping up,
yeah.
by the way.
Oh, we're going to talk about that game in a
Oh,
minute.
yeah.
Yeah, right. And I've been just trying to get information out of Hannah for ages. Been like, tell me about Hannah. Wait, tell me. It's awesome. And I say that like we had an amazing on-site UK team who are just now some of my closest friends, because you just spend hours with these people and they see me at my worst. It's not, I'm sitting here being like celebrating and basking in it, but things got hard. Things got really hard if you're slogging away at something and you just think you're not really making any dent in anything, or you beat yourself up because you're not doing a good enough job. But they pick me up, and I'm just so thankful to have them in my life. And I'm thankful to have Koji in my life, man. We were hanging out last night just being like, oh, look at us. Look at us. It was cool. And they're just my really, really great friends now.
Going back to the beginning, because I remember talking to like Maggie Robertson, who was playing Lady D in Resident Evil. She had no idea what she was auditioning for. Did you know it was Final Fantasy?
Not a clue.
Really?
What did the listing even
Jackpot.
look like?
So I can't say the name of the code name because they'd kill me. But it was unnamed video game. It was a fantasy RPG, and I was auditioning for a character called, at the time, Tristan. Now, this was a much smaller role in the game. He was called Tristan, and he was this hard taskmaster and coming in. It was 5:30 on a Friday. I'd just done, so I have like a production company, like a film production company, and we just had this like awful meeting. It had gone so badly. I was so tired. And I was like, I've got to do this audition at 5:30. I was really tired. I went up. I was like, I've got to audition for Tristan in this game. I'm not going to get it, you know. And I walked into the booth, not really that prepared. I did 3 lines and I was really quite bad. And then there was silence. And then I heard over the tannoy, Ben, would you mind reading this? And I went, yeah, sure, fine. Just thinking nothing of it. And yeah, then they gave me the lines for a character called Clint Richmond. And I looked at them and you're just thinking, well, screw it, right? I haven't seen these in advance. Let's just go for it. And they were really emotional lines. Like Clive in this game, he goes to some places and I just went for it. I just kind of let everything go. And I remember coming out thinking, that went all right. And then 4 days later, I got a call. I was doing an episode of Midsummer Murders at the time.
No, you were not.
Honestly, it's called the Sting of Death. And I actually met someone yesterday at the Final Fantasy event who went, I actually first saw you on Midsummer Murders, Ben. And I'm like, oh, thanks.
I don't think you guys understand how much of an institution Midsummer Murders is in the
Everyone
UK.
does it.
Really?
Oh my God.
My episode had Griff Rhys-Jones in it.
No.
Imogen Stubbs. It was a cool episode. Okay. But I was sitting next to Neil Dudgeon, who was the lead in Midsummer Murders, and I just got a call from my agent saying, "Congratulations, you've got the lead in a video game." And I'm like, "Oh, nice!" And I'm just talking to people, going, "No, I've got this. I'm in a video game. I'm going to do like 40 hours. That's all it was. It's going to be 40 hours of recording." And I'm thinking, "That's cool, great, that's nice." And then I got a call back saying, could you come back in an audition for your younger self? It'll only be like a couple of hours. We just want to see if you can do it. Otherwise, we'll just get someone else to voice it. It's fine. But it would be so much easier if you could do it. And I went, sure. They went, we're going to give you more information for the character, for context. And then they gave me the more information and it had Final Fantasy written on it.
Oh,
wow. And I didn't quite understand. I just was like, okay, what? And then I went into my younger self audition, which was, with Koji at the time. I'd already met. It was like, we're all cool. We're rubbing shoulders. We're fine. It's cool. Then I said, is this Final Fantasy? And someone nodded. And I went, is this Final Fantasy 16? And then nodded again. And I screamed. I went, oh no. And I think I was so nervous auditioning for my younger self. Because I just thought, what if I do my younger self and they realize that I'm not good enough to do this? And they fortunately said, congratulations, you're going to get to do that. And then for the entire first month, maybe the first year, I thought I was going to get fired. Because it doesn't happen, does it? That doesn't happen. I didn't know what I was going in for. I've loved these games since I was 11 years old. They have defined my life. And then someone says, after one not that great audition, followed by a good audition, you get to do this, and you're going to be the custodian of the next protagonist in the Final Fantasy franchise. That is just mad. And I did an interview with Yoshi P and Koji earlier in the year, and they said it's fate, and it feels like it was fate. It feels like it was meant to be, because it doesn't happen to everyone. In fact, I think it might just happen to me. But yeah, it's amazing. It's mad.
Hope you enjoyed that clip of the Frames Per Second podcast. To check out the full episode, head over to SkillUp's YouTube channel or search Frames Per Second everywhere you get your podcasts.